Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to night number 82 of the overnight feed recaps for Big Brother season 27. It's finale day, finale night. We're through with the live feeds, the last live feed recaps of the year of the season. It's been a long season in some ways, but I'm very excited to see what happens tonight. Unlike some seasons, we don't know who the final two are going to be right now pitching to the jury. We've got some ideas, but the final three rounds certainly could have a huge impact on whose dreams are fulfilled and whose are completely burst and all that. We're going to talk about all of it. Now, at this point in time, I think if Ashley wins the final round three of the final HOH competition, I think if Ashley wins, she cuts Morgan, she takes Vince, and Ashley probably wins Big Brother at that point in time. If Morgan, on the other hand, wins round three, I now think that she takes Ashley instead of Vince. Yesterday, I said just the opposite, but I think that Ashley has done a good job of convincing Morgan that maybe Vince has a chance to beat her. I just feel like the tides have changed. And so I now think if Morgan wins, she takes Ashley into the final instead of Vince and probably wins the game at that point. It's going to be so dependent upon these speeches they're given. Morgan versus Ashley could be very interesting because I think a lot of people are giving Morgan a lot of credit, but Ashley's going to come in strong with the final two speech. So it's going to be very interesting, and we're going to talk about that. All right. So yesterday and last night, we had Vince spending a lot of time trying to convince Morgan to take him to final two. We also had all three of them working on their final two speech to varying degrees. Ashley more so than anyone else, but Morgan's starting to work on hers as well. So we certainly had a lot of that. We had the house guest packing. We had house guest Vince walking around, checking out every room right before the end. I remember doing that. It's such a bittersweet feeling, such an incredible experience. But walking around knowing that you're seeing it for the last time is a little tough as well, especially for Vince. So we had all of that going on, a lot of conversations between Vince and Morgan. And why not? Being the last night, why not? So we had that. All right, let's pick up the feeds late afternoon or so. We'll pick him up at this point. We've got Morgan telling Vince that she doesn't know what she's going to do if she has to pick, that she knows that if she's going to win either way, she would definitely take Vince in a heartbeat. It's just the uncertainty about whether she could beat Vince is what's making her uncertain about what she's going to do. And at this point, I do think she's definitely torn. I think as we go through the evening, it starts looking like she's more or less made up her decision not to take Vince. But at this point in time, I think she is still torn about it. He tells her, says, "Look, if it's just a matter of you not knowing because of your fears, I'd beat you or something." He said, "It doesn't matter. You're going to win 7-0 against me or Ashley either way. So yes, you should know that you're going to beat both of us, and therefore you should be willing to take me, Ashley." Kind of the theme of the evening. So she's saying, "I'm not sure what to do." He's saying, "Well, you should know." And it's going to be 7-0 either way. We've got Ashley talking to Vince. Ashley's telling Vince that some of the jurors especially have been gone for so long and they've missed so much. They only get to see those little bitty video clips. So there's a lot that they've missed out on, the conversations, the strategy talk, things like that. So she thinks that it very easily could come down to the speeches themselves, which works to Ashley's benefit. Now, the issue is, and I hate this about Big Brother finale, they have such a limited time. They've fought and played for so long, and they are given such a small amount of time to give their speeches. I wish they had 5-10 minutes or so to speech and cut way back on some of the other segments they're going to show, but that never happens. But Ashley's saying, I think it's going to come down to the speeches. It's just been too long for some of these house guests that are jurors. Vince is talking about the people who in jury who absolutely love Ashley and they hate him. He's saying, you ought to take me because you know you've got a house full of friendly people over in that jury house, and I don't have anyone over there. So why would you not take me, Ashley, at this point in time? Ashley is saying that everyone knew Morgan and not Lauren was Vince's actual top person. So they're talking about that as well. And she's saying, yeah, we all knew. And Morgan still may think that Lauren was your top, but we all knew that Morgan was running things with you and that she was definitely your top person. Vince is saying at one point they're talking about the way people are feeling, bitter juries, things like that. And Ashley says something along the lines, I think she said it was that Ava had said something about the problem with the way Vince swayed people was he gave them kind of false hope. And that's a little bit of an issue. And Vince says, well, I just didn't think people would take it so personal if I lied to them, if I played them a little bit. I just didn't think they'd take that as a personal thing. They did, Vince. And I do expect we're going to have some bitter juries in the house, which Ashley has told Vince that she's leaning towards taking him because she does expect that there'll be a bitter jury and it would benefit her knowing that they would be a little upset with Vince. All right, Ashley's talking to the cameras. She's saying it's so hard playing dumb in this house, but that she will do what it takes to get into one of those final two seats. That her mission for this evening is going to be to make sure that Morgan wants to take her to the final two in case Morgan wins the final round of the HOH. She's wondering how cutthroat she should be, how brutal she should be when she talks to Morgan. Should she tell Morgan that Vince at one point was going to backdoor her and to talk to other people about doing it, or is she going to be a little more kind and caring? What is the best strategy to get Morgan to want to take Ashley and not Vince to the final two? She is worried that she's not sure that she can beat Morgan, that Morgan is too strong from some of the comps she won, that she's too sweet with some of the people. She thinks she can beat Vince. She's not so certain that she can beat Morgan. And I kind of feel the same way. All right, Vince is talking to Morgan about votes and who would be loyal to her, who would be locked in. He says, you know, this person is locked in against me, for you, things like that. Morgan Vince says, I'm tired of this locked in stuff. If you're going to lock in your vote before even listening to speeches, you shouldn't even be there in the first place. I'm tired of hearing it. She says, look, can we just stop for a little while, Vince? Stop talking about that. I just want to practice and prepare for tomorrow. And so eventually she starts talking about the questions they may have in the final competition. They're talking about, could it be what the bleep as the competition that I won in veto, just FYI, but talking about that, and Vince said, nah, they never do that at the end. It's going to be true, false, something along those lines. He starts going over some questions with her. I think they're back in the attic room. They're starting to pack up a little bit. He's going over some questions with her, and Morgan quickly kind of has a little breakdown because she's getting the first few wrong. She's saying, I don't have a brain. I can't remember these. And feeling bad that even some of the more basic questions, she's not able to remember, you know, what day was Keanu evicted on, things like that. So not feeling great about this comp coming up. She may not realize that she needs to win this final comp tonight, or she's probably finishing up place below Vince, coming in third place. I think Vince has done a pretty good job of saying, look, Ashley's going to take you to the final two. Now, Morgan has vocalized, she did again last night, saying, yeah, I don't think she's going to take me to the end. But I'm not sure she's as realizing as she should be that there's absolutely no chance that Ashley's going to take her to the final three. All right, so meanwhile, while they're in practicing their comp questions, things like that, Ashley's in the backyard practicing her final two speech. A lot of the same points from the night before that I covered last night, and she does it a little bit later, and we'll cover at that point, but practicing her final two speech. All right, you've got Morgan and Ashley talking a little bit. Morgan is saying that Vince keeps saying that Morgan is going to win in an absolute landslide. She said, Ashley, every time I talk to him, he says, you're going to win in a landslide. Ashley is saying, well, if that was really the case, don't you think that Vince would be a little bit more upset at the situation if he really thought that you were going to be able to beat him so badly? You know, Vince, wouldn't he be even more upset than he actually is if that was truly the case? She says, Vince is just worried that you're not going to take him otherwise. So, of course, he's going to want you to think that you're going to beat him in a landslide. Ashley doing a good job of planting these seeds. Morgan is saying that Vince had said that he would have taken Morgan to the final two, even if it meant that he had lost against her in the end. And Ashley said, well, he told me otherwise as far as what he would have done if he was in power. And it didn't involve taking you to the end, Morgan. So yeah, just take that for what it is. Morgan saying, I just don't know who Vince is lying to, who he's not lying to. I don't know. I don't know what the truth is when it comes to Vince. Ashley is reminding Morgan about the little house meeting that they had with Ava, where Ava had said about, hey, don't do for your man what he won't do for you. And she's saying, I get it now. I understand what Ava was saying about taking a gamble on Vince when he's not willing to take the same gamble on you. So Ashley's still putting it out there that, hey, he wouldn't have taken you. So why in the world are you killing yourself over this, Morgan? Morgan at one point says that she's just had a bad history of men who have taken advantage of her, that she's always chosen men over herself, but now she potentially could have a decision that's for her and not for some man. It's a decision for her, and Ashley getting the dig in saying it's not just for you, Morgan, it's for you and your family that you're getting to make this decision on. So yeah, Ashley's doing a great job with this stuff. Morgan is worried that the jury won't think that she's loyal if she doesn't take Vince to the end. And Ashley's saying, yeah, no jury expects you to take him to the end. They just don't expect it, Morgan. They probably have more respect if you don't. So yeah, not thinking that's going to be a big issue for you, Morgan. Ashley to the cameras a little bit later says that she's getting ready to turn on the attorney Ashley. She says a whole other Ashley is getting ready to take over, that she hates to do it to Morgan, but she knows that she can beat Vince, and therefore she's going to do what she has to do to get to those final 2 seats and to win Big Brother. Our Ashley is going over a little bit, countering some of, because they talked a little bit, her and Morgan, about final 2 speeches and things like that. And Ashley's going over the big moves that she thinks that Morgan is going to brag about, and how Ashley is then going to point out how it's actually her that was behind those moves. For example, she's certain that Morgan's going to say her biggest move was convincing Vince to use a veto and put up Lauren. And Ashley's going to turn around and say, well, I'm the one that told her she ought to force Vince to use a veto in order to show his cards. And another one about Rachel, Vince convincing Rachel not to put him up, I think, something along the lines. And she's going to say that she's the one that told Rachel to go and make sure she hung out just outside the HOH room so that she would be the last person to talk to Vince so that he wouldn't do it. So she's got an answer for all the things that she thinks that Morgan is going to say as her big accomplishments throughout the deal. Now, here's the deal. Ashley has a bunch of great points, and given an hour of speech from each of the final 2, I think she absolutely destroys Morgan, and she sends Vince out the door crying after 5 minutes. I truly think Ashley dominates in any kind of speech in the final 2, but that's if she has 30 minutes, if she has an hour. The reality is these final 2 contestants are going to have either 45 or 90 seconds. I heard 2 different things said yesterday, so I'm not sure how long they have. But either way, these house guests, the final 2, have a very limited time for speech. And it's unfortunate, as I said before. I wish they had more time, but they don't. 45 to 90 seconds to give a speech. Not much more time for the questions themselves. So because of that, I don't think Ashley's going to be able to make as many points as maybe she thinks she is. Now, she'll squeeze as much as she can in, but I think she's going to be somewhat limited. And the other issue also is that you've got a lot of jurors in that jury house who already think that they've made up their mind about who they're going to vote for. Doesn't mean they can't change their mind, but they're going to go in not so inclined. They're already going to go in with a bias on who they think they're going to vote for and to win. Also, even though they're not supposed to do it, these jurors do talk in the jury house, and they've probably amongst themselves talked about who they think has played the best game, deserves to win. And I don't think it's Ashley. I think it's probably Morgan at this point in time that they're all saying maybe has played the best game. No one wants to be that one outlier that casts a vote that goes against everyone else. And so once they get in there, even after hearing the speech, I think there's a tendency for them to want to stick with what has already been discussed, what's already been decided. So yes, I think she's going to have a fantastic speech, but how short it is going to limit her, and some of the pre-bias from the jury may affect her as well, which is what's going to make it a little uncertain as to who's going to walk away with the check and the confetti. All right, we do have Morgan practicing her speech a little bit. She's starting off talking about this big reveal that she's a professional video gamer, which is going to be not much of a reveal compared to Ashley revealing that she's an attorney. But Morgan's going to talk about that she's a professional video gamer, that as a gamer, you learn to play roles. You take on different roles as a leader, as someone giving support, that you have to do all these different things that she has done within the House of Big Brother to further her game. we'll see how it shapes up. Ashley, if she gets the final two, Ashley's telling the cameras that she thinks that Morgan will beat Vince. She's pretty sure Morgan would absolutely beat Vince in the final two, and that's true. But obviously, she isn't going to tell Morgan that because she wants Morgan to take her and not Vince if Morgan wins the final HOH round. All right, we've got Morgan and Vince at the hammock for a long conversation. Vince is worried that Morgan might not take him to the final two. Morgan is saying, look, Vince, your game is better than mine. And so, yes, I am a little bit worried about it. He's disagreeing with her. They spend a lot of time disagreeing about that. He's disagreeing that his game is better than hers. He's saying, you played a phenomenal game. Now, how can you even say that? How can you even believe that, Morgan? Not sure. He says he's not sure if she's taking him or not. He says, but he does know that, or she says that she's not sure if she's taking him or not, but she does know that she could lose against him. He says, no, there's no way. You can't lose against me. And she said, it's like 50-50. No, it's not 50-50. He says, at best for me, maybe 95-5. It's that kind of level. There's no way that it's 50-50, Morgan. It's just not true. Well, she continues to suggest it is. Morgan says that if the roles were reversed, she knows that Vince wouldn't take that kind of risk and take her. So, I know if you're sitting in my shoes, what you would do, Vince, but you're asking me to do something differently since you're the one that's at risk for not making it and all that. Vince does say at one point that he tells Morgan, he says, well, it just feels like you're rewarding Ashley with second place instead of me. It's like you're caring more about her. You're giving her second place instead of me, completely forgetting about or ignoring it. It's not about who she's giving second place to. It's who she thinks it will give first place to her. But he said, I feel like you're just rewarding her with second place. And here I am, Vince. I'm just third place. I'm just nothing. So yeah, go ahead. If it sounds like that's what you're gonna do, go ahead and do it, Morgan. So yeah, manipulation is still taking place. Vince is saying at one point that he says, look, even if you cut me, and I feel like maybe you are at this point, he says, even if you cut me though, Morgan, I'm still going to vote for you. I am not threatening my vote. I will still vote for you in the end. He says, but Ashley will too. If it's you and me against each other, Ashley's giving you her vote. So either way, it's not a matter of votes at this point in time. You get either one of our votes, so that should not be an issue. He's saying that Morgan played with integrity throughout the season while Vince lied to the jury. He says, so the jury's going to respect you more. How in the world do you think that they're going to give me the vote after what I did to him? Morgan is complaining at one point. She's saying, look, Vince, you don't care what I'm going through with this decision. You don't care how hard the decision is. You don't treat me with any kind of compassion. It's all just about you wanting to make second place. You aren't thinking about my thoughts at all with this stuff, Vince. She's upset that because at one point he says, it seems like you were going to be willing to take me, and now suddenly you're not. He says, I just think someone, I don't remember if he said someone or Ashley, he said, but it just seems like someone got in your head here just very recently. And she said, how dare you? Why for you to say that someone got in my head? This is my decision. This isn't anyone else's decision. No one's manipulating me. This is my decision to make, Vince, and you have no right to say that someone has gotten into my head. She does not like him suggesting that she might have been influenced a little bit. Morgan is at one point talking about why she is so worried that he could win. She's comparing herself and Vince to Mackenzie and Chelsea from last season. She's saying, look, Mackenzie was nice and honest and straightforward. Chelsea was the manipulator, and Vince, you're the manipulator. And guess what? Chelsea won, Mackenzie didn't. Just the same way, you as a manipulator could easily win at the end as well. And Vince is saying, no, that's not the case. Chelsea played a brilliant game. You're Chelsea. You're the one who's played the brilliant game, Morgan. So they argue about that a lot. All right, Morgan continuing to say that she doesn't know if she'll win against him. Vince continuing to say that she doesn't know, or she knows. She's saying, I don't know if I'll win against you. And he said, no, you do know. You do know, and you should know. You've played a brilliant game. I refuse to believe that here at the last second, suddenly you don't know that you would beat me at the end. So it goes on and on and on and on. I cover another hour of that conversation, on and on. Eventually, Morgan tries to shut it down. She said, look, I just want to focus on tomorrow. I'm going to go shower. Or she gets up, and later she comes back and says, I'm going to go shower, but I didn't want you to think I just left you, but I don't want to keep talking about it. Vince at one point is helping her figure out what to say at the finale. talking about that she had the most well-rounded game. He's saying brag about all the accomplishments, all the victories, all the things that you did in the house. That's what you need to do. Uh, but he does that for a little while, and soon it flips right back to him begging for the final two spot. Gee, just take me to the end, Morgan. He's saying that he doesn't want to sound insensitive, but he just wants her to see what he sees through his eyes, and that he just wants second place. He's not thinking he's going to win against her. No way. He just wants second place. And why can't she see the way he's seeing everything through his eyes at this point? There's more arguing about whether Vince could beat Morgan or couldn't, and all that. Vince at one point throws out the zinger, says, "Look, I thought this whole season was me and you, not me versus you. And yet here it is." He said, "I don't want this to be the way the story ends. That's not the way the story should end." Morgan eventually says, "You know what? I'm gonna go shower." She's crying as she gets up. She says, "I'm gonna go shower." And of course, Vince follows her in and sits there in the couch while she's preparing to shower and getting in the shower. Vince at one point is saying the jury doesn't want him to win, and that everyone is going to laugh at him and say that Morgan was the demise of his game, just as Keanu had predicted. They're all going to laugh at me. They're all going to laugh at me, Morgan. Morgan is saying, "Well, if you want to believe that, then I'm not going to bother to convince you otherwise. If that's what you want to believe, Vince, then you just go ahead and believe that." Vince eventually gets closer, right up next to the shower, because Morgan says, "Hey, get closer so I can actually hear you, what you're saying." So he gets closer. He proceeds to put his hands in his head in his hands, curled up in kind of a fetal position. As the camera keeps zooming in on his feet, just doing this, shaking like he's having a complete meltdown. Like, I don't know if it's real or if it's just him being very performative for Morgan. I'm not sure which it is, but it appears that he's having quite the meltdown. Ashley comes in at one point. What's going through her mind? She's probably celebrating, because the only way he's having a meltdown like that is if Morgan has said that she's not taking him, but not a whole lot is said at that point. But Vince not doing well at this point. All right. Meanwhile, Ashley leaves after that and is practicing her speech. She's talking about how she came into the house, and day number one, she had Showergate. She was the number one target. She realized that the most and least liked people are always target, along with people who win comps. So she made sure that she wasn't any one of those three types of people. She's going to mention that she is an attorney at an international law school, that she went to Georgetown Law School for her law degree. She's saying that she's going to say that she was playing dumb, just like Elle Woods in Legally Blonde. So she's got it all figured out what she's going to say. Morgan eventually is talking to Ashley, telling Ashley that she knows what she has to do, which is cut Vince if she wins the final round. She knows what she has to do, but she just doesn't have the heart to tell him what she's going to do. Eventually, Morgan is crying to Ashley. She's saying that she doesn't want to be third. She wants to try to play the game best she can. She doesn't want to be third, but she also is hating that she's going to have to cut Vince in order to potentially win first, and it's just tough. She's saying that she would take him if she knew that she could beat him. She would absolutely take him, but she doesn't know that. She's very upset as well because she knows that outside the game that Vince needs the money. And so there's a reason that she would want to take him just because of that. She is also telling Ashley, saying, "Look, you and I have very similar games, kind of honest games, straightforward games, and all of that. So you and I are going to have very similar games. It seems like the juries identify with us. The jurors will be more or less the same for both of us." She says, "But with Vince played such a different game. What if the jury's looking for something completely different? What if they're looking for cutthroat play and manipulation and things like that? Well, then suddenly Vince has jurors that you or I wouldn't have, and that's what worries me a little bit." Ashley is saying that, yeah, she's saying that could be bad. And she said, "I understand that you feel bad about cutting Vince. I do." She said, "But it's just a game, first of all, right? It's just a game." She said, "But I understand." But she's also saying, "But what? It could be even worse." She said, what if instead of the way it worked out, what if you, by saving Vince, by not using the veto in the last round when Ava went home, if instead of doing that, you did that, but then Vince had won the final round of this HOH and he cut you loose. You saved him, and then he turned around and didn't save you. It would be even worse. At least, as difficult as this decision is, you don't face that. So it always could be worse, Morgan. So Ashley, again, reminding Morgan that, hey, Vince would have cut you loose, so don't feel like you've got any loyalty to him. After Morgan leaves, Ashley tells the cameras that she feels bad about what she's having to do, but she's also celebrating and smiling and mouthing final two, and kind of doing a little dancing. She sees the path getting bigger and bigger that she needs to get to that final two and then potentially winning this thing. Vince at one point is walking around crying, saying he can't believe it's over. He's saying what a great experience it's been, even if he embarrassed himself, but it's coming up. As Morgan said, you can't live here permanently, Vince. And given the chance, I think he would. But he's saying, I can't believe it's over, but it's incredible. All right, we've got Morgan and Vince walking a little bit, talking some more after they've both showered. Morgan is talking about hanging out in the real world. She says, I'm looking forward to that, unless you just hate me for taking, potentially not taking you to the final two. I want to hang out. I want to be friends in the real world, unless you're telling me that you're just going to hate me. And he said, no, I'm not going to I can't hate you, Morgan. I will not hate you no matter what you do at this point in time. He says, but having said that, it is going to take a while for me to get over it. He said, I'm not using it as a threat. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm not trying to threaten you. I'm just saying I know how I am. And if you don't take me, that it is going to take me a little while to recover and all of that. So I just want to put it out there. It's just going to be what it is. He says, but at the end of the thing, you're my core. You're at my core. You are my rock, Morgan. I can't win against you. I know that. And so I'd love to go to second. But at the end of the day, we've played this whole game together. So no, we'll be fine. It just may take a little while. Vince is talking about All Stars season 22, saying, look, Cody evicted Nicole at final two, or was it final three? Cody evicted Nicole at final three and took Enzo. Evicted Nicole at final three, and they didn't talk for 2 years. He's just kind of throwing that out there as what could happen, I suppose, if she doesn't take Vince to final two. Morgan practicing her speech in front of Vince, talking about how she had a stutter as a child, that she's not very good at speeches. She's shy. She does her speech. She said, don't look at me while I'm doing it. So not feeling very confident at all. She does leave out the part about being a professional gamer while she's talking to Vince. All right, they're hugging at the end as they're getting ready to call it a night, as Vince talking about how happy he is that they got to play together. All right, Morgan is talking to Ashley, telling Ashley that Vince was having a hard time because he thinks that Morgan wins against either Vince or Ashley, that Morgan's got it on lock at this point. She's saying that Vince had said that he loved her, but he still would need time afterwards before they could talk if she didn't take Vince along. She's feeling bad about that. Ashley says, well, first week's for family anyway, so whatever. You're going to be spend time with your family, so if he needs time, fine. Spend it with your family, Morgan. Ashley, again, going over her speech, why she deserves to win the game. And I'll cover some of this real quick, and then we're going to finish up. Why she deserves to win the game. Because it's a social game. She played one of the best social games of the season. She turned enemies into allies. She manipulated Morgan into thinking Ashley was good with Vince when she really wasn't. That she had a team of allies keeping her off the block. That she was, for example, on Keanu's block, but then was working with him right afterwards. On and on and on. A lot of those kind of points, all good points. You're going to have a very short time to squeeze it in. Her main point, she reminds herself at the end that she wants to make sure she focuses on a good social game, that she was never a target, only a pawn, that she had the best position most weeks in the game, that she was protected by shields and bigger targets in the house, that she used information as a weapon. She shared it at the right time to have maximum impact. And at the end, that she is Ashley Woods, not Elle Woods from Legally Blonde. She is Ashley Woods. And mic drop. Basically, that's going to be her speech, is that, hey, y'all underestimated me and I did all this stuff correct. And then finally, to finish up, not just this recap, but to finish up the whole season, we got Morgan and Vince in their beds in the attic room. Vince is apologizing for waking her. Morgan's talking about it being their last night in the Big Brother house together. Morgan's reminding Vince, she says, I love you, right? And he's like, I know, I love you too. Morgan is nervous about her speech, and Vince saying that it's going to be good. You're going to be fine. You just get confident, but you're going to be fine. Vince is saying, I hope when you're giving that speech, which is going to be so great, though, I do hope that I'm next to you while you're giving that speech in the other final two chair. That would be fantastic. And they finish off the whole season with, I love you, Vince. I love you too. And that's it. And what a perfect way to finish up this whole season. Absolutely. Lights are off. This is about 2 o'clock or so, Big Brother time. And as far as I know, that's the like last conversation they had of the evening. So yes, we go out on a sweetheart moment. Guys, that's it. Tonight's the finale night. Again, we don't know who the final two are going to be. You could have a situation where Morgan goes out in third place. Vince, I can't see him winning. I would think he's second, Ashley in first. That'll be a bit of a shocker. But who knows? We're gonna find out. In some ways, I don't know. It's just gonna be. I'm looking forward to seeing this evening. One more reminder: if you're up in the Dallas Fort Worth area, I'm going to be in McKinney at the Chop Sports House at the finale. James Hewling's going to be up there. Big Meech. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a blast with it. Come out and see me if you're in that area. Otherwise, enjoy the show. We'll be talking more about it. Cliff Notes Live is going to be tomorrow night. We'll go all over it, talk about it. Guys, I've enjoyed it. Thank you for coming out here for supporting me as I tell you what happened every night. I am truly appreciative for each and every one of you. Thank you so much. And I'll wrap it up with a big old SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Have a great one and enjoy this evening.